Hi, this is Bruce, and welcome to my tutorial on the Garmin GNS 530, this unit right up here, as well as the GNS 430 right below it. That's its baby brother or sister. And then below that, I've already done a video on the Garmin GTX 330 transponder. So glad that you're joining me. Please make any comments down below. My job here that I've set out to do is to encourage us to become more comfortable with the 530. I'm not going to cover the 430 because it's just a somewhat more limited version without the map features primarily. And so I think if we can get the 530 ironed out better, then we'll be fine with the 430 as well. If you're curious where the 430 unit is found, what aircraft, this one, it's in the Coronado A36 Bonanza, and the MILV de Havilland 2 Beaver, de Havilland 3 Otter, and the de Havilland 3 Turbo Otter. The 530 is in the Aerosoft de Havilland 6 Twin Otter, the MILV de Havilland 2 Beaver, de Havilland 3 Otter, and the de Havilland 3 Turbo Otter, and the Coronado Beechcraft 1800 Delta. Those are the ones that are in my system. It might be in a few others, but I just thought if folks were curious where these might show up, and it's worth your time looking through these, then I hope you'll join me. So again, any comments? Let's learn from each other. Type them in down below. You may have learned something about these units that I haven't a clue about. So anyway, let's start off with the left side, then we're going to go down the right side, and then we'll hit these buttons here at the bottom. If you left click on the .C, you get your power on. If you roll your mouse wheel forward and backwards, you can dim it and brighten it. The flip-flop switch is here. It takes the standby frequencies and puts them up into the active section. Just by clicking, you can see the difference. Here's the VORs, the same frequencies alternating back and forth. If you want to hear the Morse code, just click on the .V there. It gives you the ID, and when you're in range, you'll hear those. Down here is the COM VLOC buttons. You can choose the outer ring to change the frequency or the VORs to the left of the decimal with the outer ring rolling your mouse wheel. And then if you put your mouse right on the edge, the vertical rise here on the inner knob, you can change the frequencies to the right of the decimal. If you're just in the middle somewhere, you'll wonder why it's not working. And also if you pull up a pop-up and you try and roll these around, you'll discover that they're not much good either. You can flip between the two with that, but I'm not having any luck with changing those frequencies. So I'm going to leave those out and about. Again, you can go from VOR up to comms by left-clicking on the push CV button, and then you can alter those and then flip-flop them in. So that's pretty much what the left side does. That's the easy part. Now let's go down the right column, and it gets more difficult down here on the GPS knob. The range I think we're all familiar with. If you go up, it goes to 500. But if you go down, interestingly enough, it'll drop to 1. And then what happens when you down-click it one more time? It jumps to 3,500, which is huge. And then you can drop back down to 500 by going backwards, but you can't go past 500. So again, it's a really interesting feature that you can get a wider radius by going backwards with it. I'll leave it on 20 right now. It may automatically jump to 35 eventually here, but for right now we'll leave that be. The Direct To feature is pretty useful. You just left click on this and up pops this, identity, facility, or city. You can see the cursors are just a general blank here. What you'll do is put your mouse over the push cursor button. We don't need a cursor because it's already flashing at us. Just put your mouse over that inner knob and then roll your mouse wheel. The first thing you'll see is only the first letter or number is highlighted and flashing. That's all you can do right now. You're going to go through the numbers up through 9, and then it jumps to the alphabet. And just for fun, I'm going to pick KSEA. So I'm just rolling my mouse wheel through those letters. There's my K. Now to get to the next one, I'm going to the outer ring, and I'm rolling my mouse wheel forward. And now I can go back to the inner knob, and I'll do what I did the first time, but now I'm looking for an S. There it is. Back to the outer ring, roll my mouse wheel to the forward. That moves it one position. Now I'm looking for E, and then I want A, so I'm going to roll it one more time. And it goes 0 to, notice the numbers aren't as many because it's limited to, it's trying to sense or intuit what's coming. So it's now that KSEA. Now I'm going to hit enter. In order to get rid of that flashing cursor, I'm going to hit enter again. Now it says, do you want me to activate that course to KSEA from where we're at right now? I'll say yes, enter. Now I got a 1930 nautical mile trip in a Beaver. How about that? On a heading of 315. I don't think we're going to make it that far. Probably fall about 1,600 nautical miles short. But anyway, that just is for demonstration purposes. And there are two other ways to select direct to, and we'll run across those, I think, as we move along through this. The menu has only two options that are available. One is enable auto zoom, and if you go to that little inner knob and roll your mouse wheel, the other option is data fields off. I'm just going to hit the clear button to get out of that mess. I don't find those terribly useful. And by the way, if you want to declutter your view, I believe maybe we don't need to be on the 50. There we go. I'll explain what happened when we get there. Here's where we started on the basic map view. We've already selected the 20 nautical mile radius. If we were to want to declutter, because this is pretty busy, just click on the clear button once and you see the -1, and then you'll notice it's starting to unclutter a little bit, and there's 3 levels. There's 2, there's 3. That's the least cluttered, and if you click it again, it goes back to the standard max cluttering, I guess you could say. So that's a handy feature. If, I'll point out, you're somewhere down the line and you're trying to get back to your basic map page, just hold down on clear and it pops back to a basic map page of 35 nautical miles. Now on this page, the first thing I want to point out, now we're going to get to the busy and somewhat confusing pages and sub-pages that are available to us from this opening position. I just want to start off with the push cursor button, the inner button. I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to click it. I'm going to put my mouse over it and use my mouse wheel, and we're going to go through 4 pages. Just by rolling the mouse wheel forward, it takes us from our basic 35 nautical mile to a standard 50. And then if we can roll forward again, here's our departure frequencies. If you wanted to select a frequency at this point, I'll just mention it. Now you can left click on the cursor, then go to the outer big ring, and using your mouse wheel, roll it down to find what you want. Let's just say clearance, for instance. Then I can hit enter. Did you notice the clearance went into the working standby box up here? Notice the 127.7, there it is, and I can do the flip-flop. Now it's active. That's a nice handy way to find the frequencies you're searching for. And again, we found that through just rolling our mouse wheel on the push cursor section and then pressing that button when we wanted this cursor to appear, and then we selected the one we want with the outer ring just to review. Okay, let's keep going with the inner knob. This is our 4th page. There's page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. This is the last page that you can get from the inner knob rolling with your mouse wheel, and this just shows you satellites available, and I really don't care about that very much. If there weren't any available, I wouldn't be able to use this unit, I suppose, but that's where we'll keep it for now. So that's just using that inner knob there, using my mouse wheel. Okay, now outer knob, there are 2 pages that we can go to, and then there are many sub pages that each of them contain that we'll get through the inner knob here. So let's roll it once with our mouse wheel. That shows us KVPS, Elgin Air Force Base, latitude, longitude and stuff, elevation, fuel available. There's an ILS approach available for this. That's the first page. Before I show you the sub pages, let's roll that outer ring with the mouse wheel one more time, and that's the only other page, that the main page that this outer ring can take you to is the nearest airports page. Okay, let's start back then where we started. Basic map, outer ring, roll it once. There's our airports. Now we're going to go for some sub pages. That's done by putting your mouse cursor over the push cursor button and rolling it forward. Here you see the runways that are available. This is preset for 1230, but you'll notice that there are 2 runways in the picture: lengths, widths, surface, full-time use, etc. What if we wanted to pick the other one? Well, left click on the push cursor button to get the cursor going. Go on the outer ring and roll with your mouse to the only options that are available, and you can just keep rolling and you'll discover there's only 2 options that it'll let you choose from. In this case, I've highlighted 1230 using my mouse wheel. Now I'm going to put it over the inner knob and I'm going to roll my mouse wheel towards myself, and here now I've got my options. I'm going to pick 119 by rolling my mouse wheel, click enter, and now it's focusing on this runway. And by the way, it's still flashing. You can get rid of that by just pressing enter again. Here's the length, there's the width, surface type, full time. That's how that particular feature would change. Let's go ahead then, and on the inner knob, remember these are sub pages for the airport. Rolling it now forward again. Here's our airport with current frequencies, just like we found through that inner knob earlier. Here is more information about approaches. It's giving us an ILS 19. What if that's not what we're looking for, or what if the transition isn't what we want? What we can do again is left click on the cursor on the outer ring, then rolling our mouse wheel, we can go to those two. Let's just pick the ILS 19 for example. Not clicking on anything, just put your mouse over that inner knob and roll, and now you can see that we have two choices, ILS 19 or ILS 30. We'll just stick with 19, but we could choose 30 just by rolling our mouse wheel and hitting enter. But we'll just leave it on 19 like so. Now, it popped to vectors automatically. It wants to know, again, inner knob, rolling your mouse wheel, CEW or Candy. Just for fun, let's pick Candy. So there we go. Now we've changed this. Notice it's still flashing again. If you want to stop that cursor from flashing, press enter one more time. Now let's go deeper into the pages. Now we've got the nearest intersection to where our aircraft is located. Again, you can change this if you know another intersection that you're interested in and getting the information from it, just by, again, left clicking on the push cursor, and just as we did earlier, you can enter each letter or number one at a time. That's a great way to do it. It just takes a little time. So after intersection, remember these are all sub pages. Now we got NDBs. You can change the NDB name and the frequency. And then here the last one, or near the last one, is the VORs. You can change both the name of the VOR and the frequency as well. And I guess that was the last one. I was thinking there was airport airspaces, but that's another setting here. So let's just say we got to start over. So we click and hold clear back to that basic 35 nautical mile map. Again, brief review. If we were just to roll over the inner knob, we'll have 4 pages available, as we've already seen, right? We're talking about the outer knob. We've already explored all the sub pages just a second ago under the airport. Remember what they were? We got the runways, we've got the frequencies, we've got the approaches, we've got the intersection NDBs and VORs. Those are all under that first page. Now outer ring, we're going to finally get to that second and last page. Nearest airports. Again, we could press the cursor, it would highlight here, and then with the outer ring go down, select the airport we want. So let's try it. Get that cursor going, outer ring, let's roll it down a ways to something around 20 some miles out. Picking maybe KNFL, that sounds like a decent one, 8,000 foot runway, 23 nautical miles away. We'll hit enter, and then we come to this page here. It tells us the Choctaw in Pensacola, Florida. Now, we haven't seen the map yet, so again, to get to the map, the easiest way is just to hold the clear button down, and presto, there we are. And it didn't give us a direct to, so let's try that again, because I'm a little surprised. Oh, I didn't press direct to. See, we all learned. Left click then to get our cursor going, rolling down on the outer ring. Let's do better than we did last time. I just had surgery last week, so I am a little bit off kilter here. That's what we had before. Now we're going to hit direct to, and then we're going to hit enter, enter. And I think we'll be pleasantly surprised that now things have changed. There it is, 23 nautical miles, heading at 274 degrees. We sometimes learn best by making mistakes, don't we? So, outer ring again. There's our airport. We've already done the sub pages. One more takes us to the nearest airports. Now we're going to roll that inner ring and we'll see what sub pages we have for this. Here's the nearest intersections. Here's the nearest NDBs with their frequencies. Here's the nearest VORs with their frequencies. And then here's the nearest airspace, and that would be the last sub page under that second one that we could pull up on the outer ring. So there you go. That is the basic options that are available here. And by the way, the intersections, NDBs, and VORs, you can select those and get the information from them, again, by pressing the knob, left click, and that gives you your cursor, and then rolling to the one you want and hitting enter. Super simple and repetitive in that sense. So I really encourage you to try that and get used to it. It's not so bad. Now let's look at these just briefly. The CDI changes us from GPS to the VORs, or headings for our autopilot use. Then OBS, if you have a flight plan set up here in the Navigator flight plan, that'll show up in here. If you want to suspend your autopilot from following each leg after leg after leg, waypoint to waypoint, just press the OBS button, and that puts you into a manual condition where you can deviate off of that course without altering your flight plan. Just leave it like sitting behind you, so to speak. Fly what you want to fly, see what you want to see, and then come back to that leg, and then when you push the OBS button again, it resumes where you left off. The message, you can see we have one, it's flashing at us, just left click on that, tells you what it's trying to communicate, left click it again, drops that away. The flight plan is not so terribly useful in creating one. In fact, I don't think you can. I think the best way to go up here is nav, flight planner, do it the old-fashioned way that we've been used to for so long. And that's probably your best bet. So I claim that the creating a flight plan in this, the departures, arrivals, etc., aren't going to happen here. You can, though, activate a new flight plan. You can do that with the proc button here, and you just go like this, and if you have it in the system through your Navigator flight planner, you can then select an approach. Here in this case, if I picked one, it doesn't know of any for KNFJ, so we're right back to square one. And we'll just go back. I just held the clear button down on that to get back to our basic map page with 35 nautical miles, right? And then if you wanted to add or delete waypoints, you're not going to do it through this unit as it stands with the P3D version 4.3. I don't think you can do it in any of the series of FSX or anything else. It's just there to look at. You can do it on the real unit, but not this one. VNav isn't going to work. Even if you press the cursor, there isn't one available. I haven't tested the vertical nav in flight, and I don't know if that makes a difference when the wheels are off the ground and the aircraft is airborne. Somebody else might try that, or I might try it myself and put a little update in the notations down below. But for right now, it looks like it doesn't do anything. But normally it would create a 3D profile guide to your final target altitude at a specific location. But for this purpose, it's not happening. And then if you hit the procedures button, again, you can select approach. Once you have selected an approach, then you can move with your outer ring up or down, activate approach or activate vectors to final, and you can choose which of those you'd prefer, and away you go. And that's it. I think that's as brief as I could make it, and I hope that you'll add to my knowledge and abilities too in the comments below. And I hope that I've encouraged you to experiment with it and just see how it works. The real creature feature is right down here on the GPS knobs. That's where a lot of activity happens. Just experiment with the outer and the inner knobs and rolling with your mouse wheel and just seeing what that does. It's not bad. I actually have come to like it. So I hope this has been a help to you, and I appreciate any feedback you provide. And let's just go out there and have some fun and enjoy our flying. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.